Hey guys, it's January 7th, 2022. I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop. Welcome to the new year at Fat Quarter Shop. It's 2022. I'm so excited. I always love the very beginning of the year because I feel like it's a fresh start and you can really take the time to stop, plan your projects. So today's live stream is going to be all about my plans for 2022. And of course, that's just going to be the stuff I know about. So just kind of the beginning of the year. But this is a great live stream to save because if in a couple of months you can't remember what I'm doing, you can come back and all of the very fine details will be in this live stream so that we can refer to it all year. And for anything I'm showing today, I am going to be giving tips for any of the January blocks on January 28th. So if you have specific questions, because you're going to see that I have a lot of fun little things that I'm doing that are different than the way the patterns are written. So if you have questions on that, January 28th is going to be the date that I go over it. Now in my book, my quilting journal, I have spent a lot of time planning my year. And I went ahead and put 2022 on the front so that I know what year it is. And these are just some stickers that I have that are Lori Holt stickers. And so I just put my email, what year it is, because I do save these books so that if in a couple of years I have questions, I can always come back to them. And right now I have 13 quilts planned and started. Now 2 of them are going to be secrets, so we won't cover those, but we have 11 that we're going to go in detail about. So I'm going to start with our Heartfelt charity quilt. So this is the Heartfelt 2022 charity quilt. It's designed by Corey Yoder and Fat Quarter Shop. The fabric collection in this quilt is A Beautiful Day, and the finished size of the quilt is going to be 76 by 84. There are going to be 25 blocks that are 12-inch finished and 5 blocks that are 6 by 12. This is going to be raising money for Make-A-Wish. All the money goes directly to Make-A-Wish. Right now we've raised $24,940. And since we hit 20,000, we did release the fabric requirements. So I want to talk about the kits and the backing sets. So we always do a kit for the charity. It is now sold out. Now we'll probably have a couple that we put back online when people don't pay their invoice. This will not ship for a couple of weeks. We are sold out, but I do have some options for you if you're still interested in doing this in this fabric. So just for all of you that bought the kit, I'm going to go over what comes in your kit. It's a beautiful box. It's so nice. And in here we have the fabric requirements and the full pattern. So your benefit of pre-ordering the kit is that you get the full pattern before everybody else. And we're raising money for Make-A-Wish, and this is all your fabric, so you get a ton of fabric. And I do love that this quilt, the background does have an etching to it because none of my other quilts have that. Now I'm going to be doing a demo on Friday live streams when the releases occur, the first Friday of each month from February to September 2022. So the same thing, I haven't started this one, but I'm going to be doing live demos where I give you tips and tricks. Now, of course, you can always use any fabric you would like. I'm going to go over the fabric requirements, but we do ask that you donate money to Make-A-Wish directly with our link so that we can grant wishes. And throughout the year, we will keep you informed on any wishes that we're able to grant when the families give permission. Now, I do want to tell you there are lots of things that go on behind the scenes where families don't want to be shown, so there are things that we can't show you. We have a wonderful backing set. It comes with lots of fabric. These are also sold out. And since they're sold out, if anyone doesn't pay their invoice, we will put that back online. If you pre-bought the backing set, you get the free pattern included. And, well, it's a free pattern, but that's the benefit of pre-buying the kits and the backing sets. And we always pre-sell these. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, last year, what I did is I made my blocks and then stored them in this box. But it got kind of confusing because I had fabric and then I had blocks, and it kind of got messy. So this year we made a project bag to go with this called HEARTFELT Project Bag, and we made it big enough to fit a 14-inch design board so that I could put a Lori Holt 14-inch design board in here and put my blocks and store it, and then I won't be as, I felt a little disorganized last year. Now, just so you guys know, we also offer things for cross stitch because we're trying to raise more and more money for Make-A-Wish. And last year we raised well over $100,000, and we're hoping we can do that again this year. And we decided to go ahead and design something new this year, and we're excited about it. This is called a HEARTFELT Floss Box, and it's a magnet. So watch. It's so cute. It doesn't fall apart. So you could use this in your purse for makeup, like lipstick. You could use this. We put some DMC in here. You could use this if you're going to a quilt retreat and you want to use it for scissors, seam ripper. Let me see if a rotary cutter fits. Rotary cutter. So you can fit all kinds of things in this for a quilt retreat. Thread. I guess that one's a little too thick to fit though. But you can use this for quilt retreats. It doesn't have to be cross stitch. And we also have a HEARTFELT Floss box, and we made this to go with our cross stitch, which is also another free pattern. If you would like to know information about what we're doing on the cross stitch side, go ahead and go to our live stream that I posted on January 5th, and I go through all the details of the cross stitch. So yeah, you can go check that out. So let's go over the fabric requirements. So on the fabric requirements, if you missed our quilt kit, you can buy 5.5 yards of a background. The background that I just showed you that has an etching look is $29,132.14. So as soon as the yardage arrives in a couple of weeks, what you'll want to do is go ahead and buy that. You can buy a fat quarter bundle of Beautiful Day, and then you'll need extra fabric of these 5. You can print this fabric requirement off on the website, and then you'll need to order the binding. But everything is listed, so if you missed our kit, you can order all of this piecemeal. For this would just be a fat quarter bundle. We also have a coloring sheet, and we did this so that you could like color in your blocks. For example, if you didn't want to do red, green, gray like we have, you can use this to color and decide your color placement. So these are available now. Our donation page is up, and we've raised $24,000. Of course, hopefully maybe after today we'll have $30,000. Again, quilt kits, backing sets sold out. They won't be shipping until the end of January, but yardage and pre-cuts will arrive around the same time, and you can order everything at Fat Quarter Shop piecemeal. Now, the way that I track this type of thing in my journal is I have all of my block names listed, and as I finish each, I'll put a check mark. And so that I can I can visually keep track of where I'm at. Have I done this block? And sometimes we'll go out of order, so I can always remember when I come back to my sewing room where I'm at. And I do put my supplies. Now, I bought the kit and the backing set, so I don't have to list out everything because I just bought what I already had. Now, I'm going to be using RFL 2000. I'm going to be using the project bag and I'm going to be using this floss box. We're going to be doing a lot of floss boxes like this. So if y'all have any ideas of things you want, like we might do a square one, we might do one that works a little bit taller for aurifil, big spools, but this is going to be great for quilting. So this is how I track if it's like a block in the month, kind of over here. So that's Heartfelt Charity, please donate to Make-A-Wish. That's project 1. Now I'm going to go over Brick House, which is my next one. And here's a sneaky peek. Okay, so 2022 Brick House is my scrap pattern for 2022. This is a completely free Fat Quarter Shop PDF pattern, so you can only find it at Fat Quarter Shop. It's completely free. I'm going to use up my scraps of various collections, and I'm going to talk in detail about that in a second. The quilt finishes at 62 by 66. Now, of course, you could make it wider and longer if you would like, or shorter. Each block, that's a house block, finishes at 12 by 13. I'm also using aurifil 2000. And on this, I'm going to be making 16 different blocks, just like the pattern. But what I'm doing is I am using the scraps left over from 2022. Now, as you can see, I already have 8 blocks done. I work way ahead. So these are things that I have already made quilts with or things with, and you will see my kids' schedule in a little bit and know why I have to work so ahead. Each of these will be shown in different live streams in 2022, and you can ask questions about them then. But what I'm doing, because each year I do my little scrappy quilts a little bit different. This one, what I'm doing is I use each print fabric one time. And I try to do the rows by color. And then sometimes my door is light. Well, maybe it's always light. Yeah, I think I did all the doors light. And I just used, how many fabrics is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 different fabrics. And then I used the same background on each block, but a different background on each block. So this uses up the leftover scraps that you have from different collections. And the concept of this is that you download the free pattern, and when you're done with the project, just take your little scraps, put them in here, and when you go back, like say you're in 2025, you can go back to 2022 and see all the fabrics you used that year. Now, when I was working on this, I did find that using the Creative Grids 2x12 and 3x12 rulers worked really well, because I'm just cutting scraps. These are 3.5-inch wide cut. This is 2.5-inch wide cut. This is 2.5-inch. So I basically use these because I'm working with scraps. And these are small rulers, and so I could just cut really fast with these, and that was very helpful. So this is one thing that I did use as I was making them. For the sashing, that's going to be, so each block is going to have its own background, but for the sashing and the outer border, I'm going to use 20708-36, which is my favorite white on white dot. We've sold out of it 3 times. More is coming, and it's going to come in March, but that, I haven't even started that, but that's what I'm going to do. And like we talked about last time, I did decide that to go ahead and go back through my scraps, and I cut 2 squares from each collection here, if I had enough left over, and I will use this as the cornerstones. And so I'm just saving 2 squares. Now I won't use all of them, and the ones that I don't use, I'll put in my bucket of 2.5-inch squares. And the one thing I am doing is on this left column, I write out the fabric collection names that I've used. And then over here, I list each block. So we've got 16 blocks, and I've made 8 blocks. So I'm halfway done. But just remember, I work way in advance, and I had a lot of extra time over Christmas, so I got a lot of stuff done. And then one thing I do is I always list any notion here that is helpful, because I'm making a lot of things at one time, and I might forget that these 2 rulers were really helpful, but if it's here, I always will remember, because when I go back to a project, because obviously I'm working on 11 quilts at one time, the first thing I do is I go back to my journal, see where I'm at. I see any notions I need, and I remind myself of any kind of fabrics that I need. And then I leave a spot like backing, binding, I haven't decided yet. So I leave that open and fill it in as I decide. So that is Brick House, and it's a free pattern from me to you, and I am very excited that I have seen several of you make blocks. And I would give you some tips. You could make this with one fabric and cut it up. You could do all a blue, so you could take all the blues, like take the blues from this collection, make blue houses. You could do red houses. You could do one fabric each row, but still cut it up so that it's got a choppiness to it. You could do lots of different things. So I did decide to do mine colored in rows. But when you're looking at the pattern, we wrote it where the fabrics are just scrappy. So think about what works best for you, and you don't have to do it with just 2022 scraps. You could just go to your scrap bins right now and just make it. You don't have to do it the way that I'm doing it. Now, one thing is I try to interpret things my way and give you tips, but please feel free to always do things your way. So those are my tips for this one. So that is project number 2, Brick House by Fat Quarter Shop, free pattern. This next one's really fun, and I have a lot going on with this one, so I might confuse you just a little bit, so I'm going to try to go kind of slow. The next one we're featuring is a Quilting Life Quilt Block of the Month 2022. This is a free block of the month available on Sherry McConnell's blog, which is aquiltinglife.com. Every month, she's going to share her quilt pattern. She shows it free in 12-inch and 6-inch. And the pattern is released monthly on the first Thursday of the month. If you are looking for free patterns, she does have several 2021, 2020, 2019 patterns. So if you want something that you can do that's free, that's available now, she has some older ones available also. Now this year, what she's doing different than last year is every block will have a churn dash. So this inner block finishes smaller than 6 and 12. But in her instructions 1 that came out this week, she has already given you the instructions, so you could actually do all of your churn dashes now, so that each month all you have to do is do the insert. So that is what I'm planning to do. And one of the things that I am planning to do is have all of my churn dashes done. I'm just waiting on some sample yardage to come, and I'm actually going to show you all of them done. And that way I can just pop in my block. So you will want to, if you're going to make this, save block 1 so that you have that sashing, so that you have that churn dash. She will have a step-by-step video tutorial on how to make the block, and she will have written instructions. If you're going to make the 12-inch block, she is suggesting 12 to 18 fat quarters. If you are making the 6-inch block, Sherry is suggesting 12 to 18 fat eighths. The first block release was yesterday, January 6th. And now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'll try to be clear on what I'm doing because it's pretty complicated and I keep confusing myself. So if you guys get lost, imagine me in my quilt studio because I was getting lost in what I was doing. So I am going to start with what is available from her 6-inch block. So I went around and around and around and decided that I really like the flower pot fabric. It's not out yet. Oops, that's a tease. It's not out yet, but I know that Kevin really loves green and blue. And I thought, you know what? I can make him this quilt, wrap it up for next Christmas. He never pays attention to anything I do sewing in terms of detail. And he'll be like, oh, it'll be like the first time he ever saw the quilt. So I'm actually making this for his Christmas 2022, and he'll have no idea because I don't let him watch the videos. I tell him that if he watches the videos, I'll stop doing them. So I'm going to talk about my plans for this quilt in the 6-inch. So what I'm going to do is there's 12 blocks. I'm going to use these 6 blues for the churn dashes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to use them twice each. So when I get my sample yardage from MODA, which I'm waiting on, which is this background, I'm going to make, I've already made this one once, so I'll make one more of these, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. They'll be done. And each month on the inside, I'm going to use 3 fabrics. So even if she shows 5 fabrics, I'll just use 3 and I'll adapt it. I'm going to use the same background on the inside as the outside. And I'm going to use 1 green and 1 taupish brown. And then I will keep a bucket of fabrics that shows used and unused so I can try to use these just once. And then I'll alternate the layout of this. Now I love this fabric, so this is going to be the outer border. Now I haven't seen Sherry's layout, but I'm sure it will have an outer border, so I'm going to save this fabric for only the outer border. And the reason why is when I colored this in electric quilt, if I put it in the sashing and the border, I felt like they fought. And so that is what I'm doing on my 6-inch. Flower Pot by Layla Boutique, the 6-inch size. She hasn't shown the finishing, so I don't know the quilt side. My churn dash, I'm going to use 6 navies with no dots. My inside's 1 gray, 1 green, and my background is 516311. My border and binding is 516317, and I'll fill in my backing when I decide. So this is my first part of this. So this is fun. I'm going to move this aside and come back to this. But you know, I was kind of bored that day. And I was like, you know what? These are really cute in 6-inch. What if I make them in 3-inch? Is it possible? Can I do it? And I did. And it was so fun. So there's this new collection coming out in April. It's called Beyond Bella. And I decided I'm not going to make a quilt with the 3-inch blocks. I'm going to do something else. And you're going to see it on a future live stream, and it's going to be very creative, and I think you're going to love it. I put a lot of time into figuring out what I was going to do with these because I don't need another quilt. Like I need another quilt, like I need a hole in my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on this one, I'm going to make all of my churn dashes with the yellow. And on the inside, I'm going to use 2 colors that are similar. So like if there's a red, I might do a light red and a dark red. If there's a green, a dark green, a light green, just so that there's 3 colors in each I'm also piecing this with Color 2000 on both blocks. If you come back on January 28th to my live stream, you can see the 3-inch blocks, and I'm going to give you the cutting sizes if you want to do the 3-inch. And it's just going to be a verbal description of what I did. So if you want to do it, you can come back January 28th. I did press this all open because with a small block, you kind of have to. And then this one, I didn't press open. I just pressed some open, some to one side. And I do want to let you know, please do not attempt the 3-inch if you are not a very, very advanced quilter, because you are working with 1/2 inch. You can see that your seams actually, like your seam, when you press it open, can you zoom in? When you press this open, you're actually right on the next seam. So very hard to do and really fun. I want to challenge some of you, but just remember that. Now what I did do, because I'm making a second one, but it's not a full quilt, I'm just putting notes that says 3-inch blocks with Beyond Bella. I'll write out blocks 1 through 12, and check off the ones as I do them. And on a future live stream, I'm going to show you how to make this into something that's cute, that will be decoration for your home, and it's something that you could put kind of in your living room. It would actually look cute in a child's bedroom too, so I think you're going to love it. So that is a Quilting Life Block of the Month 2022 by Sherry McConnell. We're going to move to Project 4. Project 4 is Stronger Together. It is to celebrate Black History Month in February, and we're back to share a new pattern that's free and a fundraiser for UNCF. We encourage you to donate $15 to our campaign for the use of these free patterns. Our fundraising page is linked below, and we are at a total of $2,000, a little over $2,000. So we're hoping to get to $7,000 raised, and Kevin and I will match up to $7,000. Cherise Spain of So Hooked on Treasures. Now, if you have not known of her, you're going to love her. She will be a visitor on our live stream next week, and you're just going to fall in love with her. She designed this year's quilt in 2 colorways. This is the subtle colorway, and I'm going to talk in detail about the kits, and I'm going to talk in detail about what I'm doing. And you will notice on lots of things I'm showing you today, I'm making it my own way. I'm making it the Kimberly way. And that's what I love to bring you on the live streams. And so this is the subtle colorway. This is the striking colorway. This one is the kit. This is the backing. If you buy ours, you get the full pattern up front instead of having to wait 4 times in February to get the pattern. So always get the kits from us if you can, because that's the benefit, is the free pattern, and it's already printed, and it's printed in color. What she wanted to do was use basics and art gallery. And so these are the colors she went with. Each part of her pattern was inspired by the life of Garrett Morgan. He was an inventor who patented many modern day conveniences like the zigzag stitch on the sewing machine. I mean, what would we do without that? And I will be talking to Cherise next Friday, January 14th, on the live stream, and she will share more of the design and the inspiration behind it. The hashtag. So these are the 2 kits. So obviously when I was looking at this, now again, Cherise Spain of So Hooked on Treasures designed this one. And these are not Kimberly colors, but I love it. And I knew that a lot of you guys who are modern would love it. But I still wanted to participate because I want to participate in everything. So what I came up with, well, let me flip through the pattern first. This is going to be coming out. We have a pop-up of the dates. No, we don't. Oh, sorry, I thought we had a pop-up of the dates. It will be on our blog, but we will be releasing 4 different parts throughout February. And it will be the texture blocks that you make 4 times, the legacy blocks that you make 4 times, the zigzag block you make once, and then the 4th will be the border. And our instructions, we give the SKUs for subtle and striking and your yardage requirements. This is available now, this sheet. The second sheet is a biography on Garrett Morgan that we have put together and the cutting. And you will see as you look, we put a lot of time and love and energy into these patterns to make them perfect for you guys. We do ask for a $15 donation to UNCF. It's a great charity. So this is what's going to be coming out in February. So what I decided to do is to use Creativity Glows and Beyond Bella collections. The quilt does finish at 48 by 48. All 3 of these blocks finish at 12 inches. I am going to use HEARTFELT 2000, and I will be auctioning off the quilt I make for a donation to UNCF. And not only that, is it's going to have a custom backing with my name on it. So that's exciting. So to talk a little bit about my process of how I come up with what I do is I use a very beginner program called Electric Quilt. And it's a very beginner program, and if you're a very tech savvy person, it might be frustrating for you, but I am very not tech savvy. So what I do is I draw it up and I start coloring it. Now before I get to this, it probably takes me 5 hours. I'm super slow. I'm not great at coloring, but I wanted something totally different. So I did notice that this didn't have blues in it or red. So I thought you could make this and make it all red or all blue. There's a brand new collection coming out from MODA with an African American designer, and her brand name is Creativity Glows. And so I wanted to use this one. And this is my texture block. And we're gonna go over how I have a ton of tips. This is my legacy block. And this is my zigzag block. And you're gonna see my zigzag is different than their zigzag. But on this, I'm super proud that I am going to be showing you throughout February every week details on how I get my blocks to have perfect seams. I need water. Sorry. So that is something that y'all can look forward to, is lots of tips. And I would love for one of you guys to make a red and white one. Sorry, I need to get some water. So this is my Stronger Together, and I'm also going to use HEARTFELT 2000. There's a lot you can do with the center and the outside. There's a lot you can do here. I'm going to have a ton of tips for you. And just as a teaser, I did take some of the leftover fabrics from corner squares to create the block that goes on the back that ends up being part of my backing. And I'm going to auction this off for UNCF. So that's super exciting. So we're going to take a little break, and I will be right back. did want to go over the SKUs that I'm using. I am using 16740 263. That is a Beyond Bella, and it will be shipping to us in April. But I do love the white on white, and the Beyond Bella is so nice to sew with. Now, from the Creativity Glows, I'm going to be using 47530-18, 47534-17, 47532-18, and 47532-17. Actually, that first SKU I read was this one. My background is 16740-200. My border that I'm going to use is going to be 47530-18, which is this print. I just got something on my book. And then my binding I'm going to use is 534-17. My backing I will pick later. Now, another thing that I do is I do put my border in here, but it's subject to change. So I can erase at any time. I always just put my plans and then change them as I need to. So that is project number 4, Stronger Together, designed by Cherise Spain. My next project we talked a little bit about last year. This is the Flea Market book by Lori Holt, and her quilt in here finishes at 96 by 96. We did have quilt kits. They did sell out, and the only thing we're sold out of is the border. So if you want, you can buy a fat quarter bundle of Flea Market, 2 5/8 yards of 747 pebble. That will be back in stock today. You can order 2 1/8 yards of 10220 pewter, 3 1/3 yards of 10211 sea glass. That is what we're sold out of. So you could just order everything but that. And 10214 pebble, 7/8 of a yard, and the binding is that same SKU we're sold out of. And you can buy the vintage trim, which is color 6027, which is cloud, which goes here. So we're sorry we sold out of the kits. We will have more. We just sold out of this border fabric. So this is a brand new book by Lori Holt. And the quilt, you notice, is really big. And I have noticed that I don't need all these big quilts. I actually don't use quilts on my bed. So what I decided that I would do is I still wanted to participate in the sew-along. I love this quilt. I still wanted to do it. I just needed to figure out a way to make it Kimberly-ish, so make it my way. So what I decided to do is there are 12 basket blocks that are 15 inches finished. And I still have leftover fabric from the Flea Market quilt I did last year, which is what I'm using. I decided for my background that I'm going to use 9940-pewter, which is what's used here in the book. But I'm going to, starting in April, I'm going to make these blocks. Then in February, we're going to offer you a free setting that Lori designed a few years ago for something else. We're going to offer that free to you, and it's going to be a setting that finishes at 56 by 70, and you're going to love it. Now, on my binding, I'm going to use the same SKU here, this 221 sea glass, and that same fabric for the backing. So I am using a fabric that is sold out, but we have plenty of time to get that in stock. Again, the block size is 15 by 15. Now, to make these baskets, we list in the book what triangle paper to use. But you will need H200 and H250 triangles on a roll, and you're gonna love using this. This is a great project to try this out with. In April, I will do a live demo with tips on how to sew up the first basket and show tips using triangles on a roll. Lori Holt will also be releasing tutorial videos on her YouTube channel for piecing tips for the star, primrose, and churn dashes. And what I think is great is she's going to give you tips that are totally different than mine, and that is awesome, so that you can see what works best for you. Now I'm going to show you a pop-up of the breakdown of the sew-along, and you'll see that we start in the center with the January block. So with that January block, I see that a lot of you guys have already sewn it, and then next month you'll work on the churn dashes, and then in April we'll be making 3 blocks, in May 3 blocks, in June 3 blocks, and July 3 blocks. So again, quilt kits will come back in stock in end of March, early April. I'm going to store my blocks also in this denim daisy project bag. It's a brand new bag. I don't think I've even shown it to you yet. It came in at the end of 2021. This one is designed by Lori Holt, and what's so cute is her little bags have the little bee on them and her name on the back. So this one also fits a 14-inch bag, and as I finish, I'm going to put my blocks in here, but my blocks are 15 inches. So I'll probably like fold them in half and put them sideways. So I'll kind of show you that as we go. So I hope that you join me in this. And you know, with this, if you want to just make one block, I'm going to show you a little tip. If you want to just make one of the basket blocks with me in April, you can finish it in a pillow. Pillow instructions are in the book. So you can make this quilt as a pillow, or you can make the whole thing that's 96 inches square. So that's great. When you look at a project, you can make it fit your lifestyle. Do you feel like making a pillow? Do you feel like making a quilt that's 56 by 70 with me? Or do you feel like making a huge quilt that's 96 inches square? I am also on this doing a cross-stitch stitch-along. If you want to see what I'm doing for cross-stitch, hop on over to my floss tube. It is called Fat Quarter Shop Floss Tube, and it was this Wednesday. It's called Kimberly's 2022 Plans live stream for cross-stitch. So you can also check out the cross-stitch we're doing, and it's all designed by Lori Holt. So very excited about doing this one. I've been waiting to make this one, and I love that I already have the fabric. Now, of course, with any of these, you can use any fabric that you would like. You don't have to use what we're doing. Project 6 is also Lori Holt's, and this one is called Chicken Salad. The pattern. You don't have the pattern? Okay, we need to get it. Okay, can you ask Nova to print the pattern for cookbook? It's not in the kit? Okay. Okay, we need to check that. So this is the cookbook quilt kit. These will be shipping in a few weeks. Or next week, we're currently packaging them. So here is the quilt kit. It has lots of fat quarters. I'm going to show you the applique quilt in a second. The pattern is not out yet. We have a draft of it. If you buy our kit, it will come with the pattern. It is an applique design. It also works with the denim daisy bag, so I'm going to be using another bag. I'm going to put a design board in here, and I'm going to use that. The quilt finishes at 64 by 80, and this is the kit. It is an applique layout, so it is an applique of 12 chickens. And if you watch the channel, I don't even know the difference between a chicken and a rooster, and I don't applique. So chickens, applique, all that, not my thing, but I still want to sew along. So with this pattern, this is the applique pattern, all 12 of her chickens, and they're all named. Let me show you. They have the funkiest names. They use the chicken salad Sew Simple Shapes, which we have right there. I can show you. The chicken salad Sew Simple Shapes. And she tells you where to put them. Prudence, Beatrice, Cornelius. She uses these chicken salad Simple Shapes and the quilt kit to make these chickens. We have sold a ton of these kits. So I know that you guys love chickens. And I love that you love chickens. But Miss Kimberly Jolly does not like chickens. So what Lori did for me is she is picking 12 pieced blocks from her Farm Girl Vintage and Farm Girl Vintage 2 books on her blog on the first Monday of the sew along is starting on Monday, January 31st. Every Monday starting then, she's going to show the applique version pieced with tips, and then she's going to show you the pieced version. Then that Friday, I'm going to show you my pieced version. I'm going to make the version she makes exactly like she does. I'm going to use the cookbook kit. The cookbook kit will work for either the applique or the pieced. I am going to cheat and go ahead and start making the borders also. In our kit, we do include the pattern. If you don't get the kit, you will download the information from the Riley Blake blog. The kit is shipping in late January. The backing set will ship in March. The reason why the backing set will ship in March is it's 108 inch, and Riley Blake has been having issues getting 108 delivered. So knowing that in the future, I am going to start making the backing sets with 44 inches wide. So if you have a love for applique, you can make this. If you have a love for piecing, you can make my version. Now in my book, I will tell you that all of this is covered up. The reason it's covered up is I already know the blocks that she's going to do, and as she sends them to me, I stitch them. So I'm just a little bit cheating ahead, but I can't give you any information on that. So that is chicken salad. Now we're going to move to Pat Sloan's sew along for this year. So if you have not followed Pat Sloan, you have to. She's awesome. And she gives a lot of, like Sherry McConnell, she gives away a lot of free patterns. So I'm going to go over what she's doing for 2022. It just started, so you have plenty of time to still join. This is called Sweet Dreams Pat Sloan 2022 Free Block of the Month. She's celebrating her favorite desserts every week. This program will run from January 5th to May 11th, which is 18 weeks. You can go to her blog, which is ilovetomakequilts.com, and print out the fabric requirements. It's going to finish at 62 by 72, and I'm going to go through her fabric requirements and then what I'm going to do. So she gives you fabric requirements. Moonstone by Andover is what she's using. We are sold out of the fat quarter bundles because Andover is sold out of one of the SKUs. But you could use any fabric. This is going to be her final layout. So the first 9 blocks will be these blocks. This will be block 10. And then these will be blocks 11 through 18. And she has already given you the cutting for the layout. I do want to show you block 1 and the different things that she's offering. so that you know if you want to do this, you don't have to make the full quilt. She gives you the block 1. Instructions. I love that she gives you the unfinished sizes here because I tend to look here and I don't read patterns at all. Again, quilt finishes at 62 by 72, but every week she gives you a bonus layout. So you could make this quilt, and she also gives you a coloring page so you can color in, and this would look great in red, white, and blue. So what I'm making with this is the same collection I just showed you. I'm also using cookbook for this, but because I was using cookbook for chicken salad, I don't want 2 quilts that look the same. So I picked 4 SKUs from cookbook. This is 11763 denim, 11762 cayenne, 11769 cottage, and the background is 11761 cloud. I haven't picked my binding or my background, and I obviously don't know how much I need. So I ordered 2 yards each of the 3 colored, and then 5 yards of the background. I think I will run out of background, but that's kind of what I'm starting with. If you come back on January 28th, I'm going to give you tips and tricks for this block, and I hope you join. She does also have a Facebook group where you can ask questions. So that is Project 7. Project 8 and Project 9 are secret, so I can't show you. They are videos I'm going to be doing. So we'll move to 10. Riley Blake just came out with this. They are doing another block challenge similar to 2021. It's going to be 16 new and exciting 10-inch blocks. Starts January 4th, which was just a few days ago, and ends May 17th. Everything is completely free. They will release a new block pattern every Tuesday except the last Tuesday of the month, which is great because it gives you a chance to catch up. You'll go to the Riley Blake blog to find the patterns, which is blog.rileyblakesdesigns.com. So right now you can print this out. I'm going to go over what they're offering and what I'm doing, and this is another one that I get very confused on because I'm making 2 blocks. So if you go to their blog and print this out, it tells you each day of the month and just the date. So like January 4th, January 11th, what day the block will be coming out, so you can schedule it in your planner to go look for that free block. It tells you the designer, and it tells you the designer's blog because you will also get the blocks there. The first one, again, is designed by Lori Holt, and they have a list of fabric requirements. So you can download that. These are all confetti cottons. We have all of these in stock if you want to make it the way they're doing, because they're doing solids. So this one is called Daisy Chain. It's by Lori Holt, and again, 10-inch blocks. So I decided to do something similar like I did on the last one I showed you, where I just pick a few colors. I'm not going to use the whole collection, but Quilt Fair by Tasha Noel is coming out this month. It is by Riley Blake, and it's a Tasha Noel, and I picked 1 navy, 1 blue, 1 pink, 1 red for this part. There is a sashing part you can't see yet. I'm going to use 2 different fabrics for that. So for my backgrounds on my blocks, I'm going to use 11354 pink, but in my sashing blocks, I'm going to use 11354 aqua. My setting and binding is going to be 357 aqua, which is not this one, it's a different one. I actually am working with sample yardage, and that sample yardage didn't get to me, so I couldn't show it to you. Now these prints right here, 358 navy, 11351 pink, 11354 red, and 11352 aqua. When I picked these fabrics, I picked 4 different prints and 4 different colors. My backing is going to be 11359 white. I don't have it yet, so I couldn't bring it to show you. But I was having so much fun doing the 10-inch block that I thought, oh my gosh, it needs a little baby block. I am just like deciding to make all kinds of stuff. So you can see how different they look, because here in the 10-inch block, you can really see the prints. Here, the flower gets lost, the prints get lost. You get the effect, but I do think the 10-inch looks much better. I did fussy cut this center so that this would be centered. This one didn't need to be. If you come back on January 28th, I'm going to give you tips and tricks for block 1 here. And I'm also going to show you instructions. I'm going to verbally tell you what you need to cut if you want to make a 5-inch. And I did press all of these open. Again, if you're going to make the 5-inch, please only attempt it if you are experienced. This was hard, and you can see if we zoom in right here, I mean, your seams are just like, when you're pressing open, I mean, they touch. So very difficult, but for somebody like me, it is so fun to be able, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I obviously don't need 2 quilts, but it was so fun. And so January 28th, I'm going to show you blocks 1, 2, and 3, hopefully in both sizes. And this one, I just made 1 sheet, and it says 10-inch and 5-inch, making quilt twice. Obviously, I don't know the finished size. I'm going to have to go ahead and put that in later for the 10-inch and the 5-inch. And I'll probably put my 5-inch information down here, and this will be my 10-inch. I obviously didn't finish, so this will be my 10-inch, and then my 5-inch. I kind of decided to do this one last minute, and I've already done block 3. So I've done, this will be a lot of fun. So maybe this might be kind of up your alley if you like the red, blue, navy, pink, that kind of thing. So that is another option that's also free. The next one, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so busy, guys. I don't even know when I'm going to sleep. This is Project 11. It just came out the last couple of days. So Joanna Figueroa, on her blog, it's Fig Tree Quilts, she is hosting a sew-along that's designed by Susan Vaughn. On Joanna's blog, they released the fabric requirements. It's not a printout, so I couldn't print it. But you will need 8 1/3 yards of different creams and ivories, 1 1/4 yards for blocks and borders of an ivory, and then 5 yards for this print, I think, and then 2/3 of a yard for the binding. So I would suggest you kind of look there. I'm totally changing mine. So mine is not going to be the way they're doing theirs because I don't want to mess with a lot of different colors. I am going to use Bella 9900-200 for this. For this, I'm using a Blossom fabric that's designed by Christopher Thompson, 715-silver. And week 1, she has you make 20 flying geese. So I have this done. Now, I am going to give you a lot of tips on how I made my flying geese. I did them totally different than Joanna and Susan. Now, Susan is going to give you a tip if you make them the traditional way where you have leftover half square triangles. And I didn't make them that way. So I made them where you don't waste fabric. So if you come back on January 28th, I'm going to give you my tips, and what I'm trying to do here is show you how I do it, because I don't always do it like the designer, but that's the freedom of quilting. So my quilt is going to have one background, one gray. Their quilt is going to have one background, or sorry, one print here, and a lot of backgrounds. But I just wanted to do something simple, so that's what I'm doing. And I'll be back and show you, like next week, she'll have another block, and I will keep showing you until I'm done this quilt. I obviously don't know the size, and you know, I put that the block details are on Fig Tree Quilts block. And this one I decided, because all of the ones I just showed you, they took a lot of time to pick all those fabrics. And this one, I thought, when I saw the end result, I thought, you know, it'll be really nice to do something simple. The next one released today. It's brand new, hot off the press. I made this last night in between my job as a taxi driver, which is just kidding. That's what I call myself, because I just taxi my kids all around town. So this is brand new. It's called Branching Out. It is on the MODA Fabrics blog as of this morning. It is designed by Susan Aki. Her Instagram is yardgirl60, and the hashtag is MODA Branching Out. I decided after yesterday, I had one day to pick this, and I just could not decide. So what I decided to do, it took me like an hour at home. I could not decide. I decided that I'm going to go through and use up all my green fig tree scraps, because I do love fig tree green. I'm not a fan of green, but I do love her green. Now, they have it written where you'll make 61 blocks. There are two sizes. I'm going to go over that in a minute. I wrote 61 blocks. I'm not sure I'm going to do 61. My plan is to do one a week. So every live stream you come and see me, I will show you my block for that week. This is great for having a project that's suited to work on when your time is limited, maybe 30 minutes at a time. So if you can make one block a week with 30 minutes, at the end of the year, you'll have a quilt. I'm not sure of the end date of this. I do think it goes all the way to the fall. You can make as many blocks as you want, or as few. It's pre-cut friendly. The original idea was to make the blocks with layer cakes. One layer cake is enough for the branches and tree trunks of one 8-inch block, or two 6.5-inch blocks. Fat quarters, fat eighths, and scraps work well also. So I'm going to kind of talk about what is available now. You can make it in 6.5-inch finished or 8-inch finished. The one thing you have to think about is this is 7 inches unfinished, 6.5-inch finished, which is slightly different than normal. This one is 8-inch. Now, of course, I love small things, so I'm not going to make the 8-inch. I'm going to make the 6.5-inch finished. If you look at this block, there are 8 branches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to talk about things you can think about when you're planning your fabric. You can, and there's a lot of information like this on the MODA blog. I'm just going to tell you kind of what I had thought about. You can use one fabric to make all the branches. You can do what I did and do the left side is one color, the right side is another. You could do 16 fabrics, or 8 fabrics. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or you could do one fabric, a different fabric, a different fabric, and a different fabric. So your trees can kind of have like little tips, or they can be more divided. I decided to do this because I thought not many people would be doing the left and the right. When I looked through my fabrics last night, I decided I'm going to use Fig Tree Greens scraps. And the reason I'm doing 2 is I don't know if I have enough of all my greens to make a full block, because they're just my scraps. I'm going to use the stem fabric from Stitched. It's 437-17, and I'm going to do this on all of them, so these are consistent. But each block is going to have a different background, so that I will be very similar to my other scrappy quilts where the backgrounds just change throughout. That way I can use scraps. And there is a diagram that was posted this morning on different settings for this. That will require a side setting fabric. Since I just saw that this morning, I'm not sure what side setting I'm gonna do. And here, I just put a note for myself with these brand new sticky notes from Lori that my layout is to be determined and my size is to be determined, so that when I go back, I can just think about it as making blocks. Now, one thing I am going to do, my goal is to make one block every week throughout the year until I decide to stop. I mean, I might just run out of fabric. And I have some great tips on how to make this. So if you noticed, it's perfectly straight. I have some great tips. You'll definitely want to come back on January 28th to see my tips on making this. I'm going to actually bring a block the way I do it so that you can see my tips to making it bigger and show you how to cut it down. Now, there are some notions that are recommended. They are the Cluck Cluck Sew seam tape and the Doug Lico simple folded corner squarish ruler. So I actually bought both of those this morning to try those to see what I think. This one I just made the Kimberly way, but I'll give you kind of my review of that later on January 28th. But this one's going to be so fun, and I don't have a green quilt, so if now I'll have a green quilt. So on this, when I was working on this last night, I thought, you know what? I am going to make 2 scrap quilts using this green. So I remembered that I have all of my shortcut quilts in my Socialites binder. And I remember when I was going through this last year that I really wanted to make this, and I was going to use all the green scraps from 2022. But when I was going through all of the collections from my brick house blocks, I'll show you real quick. I was looking at those brick house blocks, and when you look at the greens, when I started looking at my greens, and I'm not a green lover, so it's hard for me to work with greens. But if you look at all these greens together, I didn't think that that would make a really pretty scrappy quilt. So, like, the colors are just way too different for the greens if you just look at these greens. So I did not think that my first idea was going to look good. But I still wanted to make it. This is a completely free shortcut pattern that has a free pattern on Fat Quarter Shop and a free video. So I thought, well, I can use the fabrics I use in branching out to make this. The only difference is for my background here, I think it will look messy if I have a lot of backgrounds. So on the branching out, I'm going to be using scrappy Big Tree backgrounds. But on this one, I am going to use 20412-22. And if you look at Fig Tree fabrics, sometimes her backgrounds are whitish and sometimes they're creamy. So I picked one that was pretty white because I like that better. So that are my plans for 2022. And now what I'm going to do is answer questions, and I'll probably need some of my blocks to show the back for the questions. So I'm going to go through all the questions. Catherine Britton asked, if I do Kimberly's Way with Lori's chicken salad, do I have to have both books? If you want to make it like Lori and I, yes, because the blocks she is picking are kitchen blocks, and you need the variety from both books. Randy E. Am I the only one who confuses right side from wrong side when working with solids? No, I do too. Solids, I don't worry about. But if I have a background print, what I do is once I cut it, I put all the fabrics right side up all at one time. So when I go to use it, I don't have to look at right side, wrong side. Renee said, you have shared so many quilt-alongs. I'm a newbie at quilt-alongs. Which one do you recommend for somebody who wants to dip their toe, my blue book, into a quilt-along? Okay, let me look. I would do brick house. That's what I would recommend. With chicken salad, I would love to put a big rooster on the back. Any suggestions on a pattern? I think, does Lori have a rooster pattern? Yeah, Lori does have a rooster pattern. It's not huge. It's 12-inch and 6-inch. It's in one of her books. And of course, off the top of my head, I don't remember which one. But you could use that, or you could do one of the appliques and just put it on the back. Chicken salad does not come in a box. And box prices, I just want to kind of warn you up front, have gone way up. So some of the things we've done in boxes might not be able to be done in boxes in the future unless prices come down. Could you recommend a red fabric line to do the Stronger Together quilt? Yes! The Red Hots by Riley Blake is coming out this month, and I think that would look fabulous. I have actually been looking for an excuse to use Red Hots, and I haven't found something quite yet, but I do love that fabric. Kathy says, how can I get those small letters used as cut fabric markers? Alphabetties. How can I get those small letters? They're called alphabetties, so you can order those if that's what you're talking about, I hope. Jody is asking if I finished the white low volume quilt for my sister-in-law. Yes, I did. And I sent it to her, and after like a week, I was like texting Kevin. I was like, did your sister get the quilt? Like, nobody said anything. And then he sent me the text she sent. And I was like, do you think you could have sent it? And he's like, oh, I forgot. Because I guess his sister doesn't have my phone number. I was like, okay. So I was kind of underwhelmed with, I think she likes it. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really hear much from her. So I think it did come out great. And we are going to be doing a 2021 recap video, and you'll see pictures of it in that. Dakota asks, on the 3-inch blocks, do I grade my seams? I'm going to show you the back. I have no idea what grading seams means. So I just cut the block just like normal. Now, when you see my blocks that look like this with no shredding, that's because I just did it. As time goes on, it shreds, and we use these blocks over and over and over in photography. So once all these people start touching my blocks, and if you're not really careful with them, everything starts shredding. But I don't know what grading the seams means is, so I guess I don't do that. Sheena, Montana, I realized over the holidays that I don't do well with the pressure of holiday projects. I just crash. Has anyone else discovered this, and is this the realization why there's Christmas in July? I think that the holidays, the pressure of the holidays is what it is. It's not so much the pressure of the quilts. But I just think the holidays, it's a lot. Thanksgiving, Christmas, they're so close together. There's so many expectations of meals and dates and planning, and I think that people just get overwhelmed. So it's always great to do Christmas gifts earlier in the year so that you can do them when you're not so pressured for time. Will I be doing the block of the month called A Ribbon Runs Through It? I'm not going to sew it. We are offering that as a block of the month. The fabrics are 1800 prints. It's a beautiful quilt, but that style does not fit my house, and I'm not going to make a huge quilt that I can't use. I want everything that I make to be functional and usable. And I actually don't know anybody in my life that I think would want those colors, because like my mother-in-law probably likes those colors, but she doesn't really care about quilts. So I'm not going to make that one, but I do think it's beautiful. I noticed on Brick House you press the seams to one side. Why? Okay. So this one I pressed open, and I can talk about tips on this in January 28th. I don't think I had planned that, so we'll pencil that in. This one is pressed open because it touches this. And I went left, right, and then here it doesn't matter which way you press because nothing touches. And then these don't touch. So the only ones that touch are right here and right here. So I just made sure those went different directions. And the easiest way for me to do it was just to press left, right, left. Well, I guess I went left and left here because it didn't matter. So you could just press open if you wanted. And you know, when you look at a different block, like Denise handed me this one, she could hand me a different one that I made a different block, and I might have pressed it a totally different way. So I don't always, we're gonna just pick one and see. I bet I pressed a different one a different way. I don't think pressing, let's see. Oh, see, this one I pressed these to the left, this one's to the left. Oh, I did do these the same. But, I mean, I don't think you have to. Do you ever overcut your fabrics in Blockhouse as you normally advise to do? Yes. So if you look here, and I'm going to give all these tips on January 28th. I'm going to go through every single thing. So you can actually make this taller, and you can make this taller, and you can cut these wider. You can't do it on this one, but you can do it here, and then you can trim it down. You can also make this one bigger and trim it down. So I do, on this one I didn't. It just depends what block, but I will be, one of my goals for 2022 is to go through and really take my time and show you different tricks. And it will be different each week. It'll be whatever I think that you might learn from. And I'm going to try to give you tips. Some of them, I'm going to admit, I can be sometimes excessive in the amount of overwork I do to get the results. And I know that frustrates some of you guys, but I can only show you what I do. And I do really kind of go overboard sometimes. Is there enough fabric of the etching background in the fabric to kit the border's length of fabric? So Sandy, if you can email nova@fatquartershop.com, she can look at that and see. And then Barbara says grading seams is when you trim down the seams with some narrower than others to cause flatter seams. Oh no, I don't do that because I think I might get confused. So now I'm going to just show you a couple of new items of cookbook because I love all of the Lori Holt notions. And then I'm going to give you kind of a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing the next 2 weeks. But I do want you to remember for sure, come back January 28th for all my tips. So these are some new Lori Holt cookbooks. This is a notebook. It's called a Spiral Notebook. This is Lori's crafting paper pad. Now Lori did a video last week that was super awesome on decorating her planner with some of her paper. This is my planner. So you definitely want to check out her video so that you'll know how to use this paper. And she talks about not only how to use this with her planner, but also how to use this as an office supply. We talked earlier about the chicken salad template. So these are the templates that you use to make the chicken salad quilt. She has a new beekeeper binder. Now this is one of the bigger ones, I think, that will fit the So Simple shapes. Some of her binders fit them and some of her binders are smaller. So this is one of the ones that's bigger that you can organize the So Simple shapes with. She has some new, they're really cute. These are coasters for your drink. And all of her enamel mugs really always sell out. So this one is a rooster and it says Rise and Shine. Or a chicken. I don't know the difference between a chicken and a rooster. And then she has this cute little metal lunchbox. And this would also be great for, I mean, this obviously won't really work as a lunchbox. I think it's too small, but you could use this as a great way to go to a retreat, because you could put your rotary, you could put your Post-it notes, thread, scissors. I mean, it's going to fit a lot of stuff. So those are some new items. And so my announcements are that January 28th, I'm going to have lots of tips for you. Next week, we're going to have a special guest, Cherie Spain, who's going to join us so we can talk about Stronger Together, her inspiration for the designs, and you can ask her lots of questions. She's very creative and beautiful, and I think you can learn a lot from her and her inspiration for this. The next Friday, we will have another special guest. I can't tell you who it is. It's a secret. I might have said her name, though, a couple of times in the video, so that's your hint. And then the following Friday, I'm going to have tips. Make sure to follow us, like us, and subscribe to us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Fat Quarter Shop. Remember, we do have a FlossTube YouTube channel called Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube. And I want to end by saying thank you for my super chats. Susie Conway, Valeria Bauer, and Libby Armstrong. I'm looking forward to 2022. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you guys, sharing inspiration, and all of us sewing together to make beautiful quilts in 2022. I'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend.